So welcome to the Courageous Nerd YouTube channel. My name is Connor. I'm joined today by Georgia Waters. Georgia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm having a lovely day so far, enjoying the Indian summer that we're having here.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, you were saying a bit before we started this recording, you're originally from the UK, but you're now based in Vancouver, and were acting opportunities the main motivation for making that move?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also the nature here is beautiful as well with the mountains and the sea. But yeah, so much gets filmed here. So it kind of seemed like a good place to base myself. And
Hmm.
since I've been filming a lot here. Although Reginald the Vampire, that was actually filmed in Victoria. So
Yeah.
that was the island off from Vancouver.
Yeah, I think people would be surprised how many things were actually filmed in Vancouver. Like a lot
Yeah,
of times, it's got a fictional name, but it's really Vancouver, and like, people probably have no
it
idea.
is. Yeah, and a lot of stuff that gets set in Washington as well gets filmed here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a chameleon city. Not
Mm.
often starring in anything, but being different cities.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I suppose in terms of your own acting journey, like when you first started, was it a hobby or were you always looking to pursue it professionally?
Um, well, I guess when I was a child, it started as a hobby, but in my
Mm.
head, I always knew that I wanted to do it professionally. Um, so I did plays at school, and then at university, I actually studied English literature. I
Mm.
guess doing the thing that my parents wanted me to do, being like, no, get a degree. But whilst I was there, I did all the theatre productions, which is how I got scouted by my first agent. And so I was like, okay,
Mm.
this is the path I will pursue.
Yeah, it's a really, I find, interesting split talking to a lot of different actors because some of them literally just stumbled into it somehow, like they like knew somebody or they just kind of found their
Yeah,
way into it. Whereas, your perspective, it sounds more intentional, like you really wanted to do it. So, like, is that, I guess it makes the profession interesting that there's so many different entryways into how people got there in the first place.
definitely. I mean, I'm always very jealous of people who accidentally stumble into it. But yeah, for me, it definitely, it was always performing was always a space that I felt most happiest. And also mixing with other actors and creators, not just the actors, people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I would feel like they're my tribe and people that I really connect with. So it seemed like the natural world for me to push into.
Mm, absolutely. And you mentioned it already, but obviously you're in the upcoming series, Reginald the Vampire. You play the role of Penelope. And I know obviously that show's kind of got a lot of publicity. There's a lot of buzz around it. I suppose for anyone who hasn't heard anything about it, like, how would you explain the show and the character you play?
So Reginald the Vampire is about vampires, but
Mm.
it's not. If you're going in expecting the kind of the interview of the vampire Dracula kind of,
Yeah.
I think you'll be disappointed because it's very much a comedy drama. So
Mm.
leaning into the comedy and absurdity to kind of highlight the shallowness of the vampire world and how we really uh, put these vampires on this pedestal about being these dangerous, seductive beings, but actually maybe they're just shallow and flawed.
Mm.
And at the center of it is Reginald, who is kind of I guess, anti-hero at the beginning, but
Mm.
what his character and his development does is really questions what the role of a hero is, and that we can all be the hero of our own stories. And he shows how inherently flawed all the vampires are, and how him being such a charismatic and kind person is what we should all
Mm.
be aiming for, really, rather than the destruction that vampires bring.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I suppose in terms of like your character, like how would you describe
So yeah,
Penelope?
Penelope is one of the stereotypical vampires who she it's not a spoiler because it happens quite early on. The title, Reginald the Vampire, Reginald turns into a
Mm.
vampire. So my character is feasting on Reginald, and that leads down the path of his being turned into a vampire, which our clan leader is absolutely outraged by, because usually we have an image to keep up along our vampire clan, and so my character is trying to undo the mess a little bit, but at the same time pandering to the leader and also trying to be mischievous and get up to her own vampiric tricks as well.
Absolutely. And obviously you were saying about, Reginald the Vampire being a bit different tonally to, like, because obviously it's a wide kind of pantheon of vampire,
Yes.
media, like films, TV, books. So I suppose, like, because of the tone being so different, did you have any influence in mind while playing Penelope, or was it just like too different to anything else that you kind of had to have your own take on it?
I guess I did do a fusion of the more traditional vampires, because also Penelope, she's kind of from the Victorian era as well, which is shown in clothing that you'll see. So she's very much that side. But then you'll see in future episodes that I pull in the comedy aspect as well, and show that she's also quirky and clumsy, and seeing the more humorous side of her, and also the human side too.
Absolutely. And I know people might not make the connection straight away, but the show is actually based on the Fat Vampire series by Johnny B. Truant, I believe is the name of the writer. And I suppose it's like a rule of thumb. Do you kind of research source material when you do a project like this, or do you try and just focus on the version that's being made for the show?
Well, I guess this is an interesting one. I did read a lot of the books, I think the first 5, but then I realized it's quite a different leaning from the books. Some of the characters are still the same, but a lot of them are different, and there's whole new characters in it as well. I think it helped me get an idea of the world, and also the vampires versus humans, and so it gave me a lot of context, I guess, for the world they were creating. But then it's definitely, they've taken that and twisted it into what Reginald the Vampire is.
Absolutely. And I know obviously we haven't mentioned this yet, but obviously the role of Reginald is played by Jacob Batalone, who people will know from the Marvel films. He plays Ned Leeds. And I suppose kind of he's very much like a supporting character in those films, but like how did you find working with him as the lead of this show?
He was nothing but wonderful. Such a lovely person, so relaxed, so chill, and also kept the energy and the atmosphere up, because it was long, hard days, especially for a vampire film. A lot of it was at night. So, but I mean, I was in awe of the energy that he would be able to bring, but also making sure that everyone was staying upbeat, even though, some of the scenes we had to do were in the cold, dark alleys going over and over again, like the scene where we had to turn, well, we're biting him. But yeah, I was just, kind of bowing down to his energy and also positivity. So yeah, it was a real pleasure working with Jacob.
Absolutely. And I suppose kind of like a lot of people, I feel, when they watch all these different shows, might not place actors like right away. I'm sure the people might watch this and might think, I recognize her from somewhere and I can't quite place it, because you've done quite a wide like body of work. I know you were in Siren, I believe Legends of Tomorrow as well. And like, do you have an acting experience that stands out?
Well, I would say fans of Siren are definitely a crossover for Reginald the Vampire, because it's the otherworldly, mythical creatures, I guess, which seems to be things I get cast in. So, but the characters are so different, very, very different. Eliza in Siren, she was the kind of the gentle healer mermaid who was there to kind of help everyone and help solve problems, whereas Penelope is the opposite of that. She is creating problems. And also looks wise very, very different, and accent wise as well. This is the first time I've been English accent, because Toys of Terror I did before that was with an American accent, and Siren was kind of a Scandinavian accent. So this has been a departure from what I've done previously, and also playing kind of a seductress as well. I've never,
Mm.
Eliza wasn't that, or my role in Toys of Terror wasn't that either. It was the nanny looking after children and trying to save the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun doing something different this time.
Mm. I wonder if there's people who think that, you know, your English accent is one that you're faking because they've seen you do these other accents and like, hang on a second, is she even really English? Like, what you know, what's even
That's
going
what
on
I
there?
did worry about that. Like, oh, her English accent's awful.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my voice.
yeah. You know, because I remember it's pretty random, but Gary Oldman had that when he did Harry Potter because he's English and that was his
Oh
real
yeah,
accent. But people were like, well, he's doing a really rubbish American accent or English accent because you know people saw him do all these
yeah,
American accents in the past, and like he's literally English. I said
yeah,
his actual accent. I mean,
yeah.
it
People always
happens.
get that. Yeah, there's a few actors where that happens, and you hear them doing interviews, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's funny, the accent thing, but it's
Mm.
fun. It helps. I think doing different accents does help you get into a character because suddenly you are very much sounding like a different person.
Yeah.
But it was also refreshing not having to practice the accent as well as everything else for this
Mm.
character.
For sure, and I understand that when you're not acting, you know, some of your pastimes involve keeping quite physically fit. You know, I know swimming and taekwondo I've heard about, and have you been
Yeah,
able to incorporate those into any of your roles?
swimming I definitely did with
Of
Siren.
course, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
which was lucky because there was a lot of underwater tank work, and if you weren't comfortable swimming, it would have been really challenging.
Mm,
So that was really fun, and also they trained us up more because I hadn't ever done diving, and so we practiced free diving, which is holding your breath underwater for a long time, and then also
yeah.
using a respirator underwater. And you'd be weighted at the bottom of this massive tank, having the respirator to breathe and then giving it away,
Mm,
scenes, and then putting it back in place. So that was a fun and interesting thing. And then I haven't been able to use much taekwondo yet. So,
right.
but we'll see. Who
Mm.
knows what the
Watch this
future.
space.
Yeah, watch the space. Yeah, it would be
Yeah,
nice to make use of it some more. So,
yeah.
I think because a lot of my characters previously have been kind of benevolent and gentle, but maybe now I'll be able to do some more
Mm,
dark and
yeah.
action.
Yeah, I'm sure in a few years I'll see you in a project doing taekwondo and about, oh, okay, you know, finally, you know,
Yeah,
she got the chance. I'm happy for her. That's great. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, for sure. And I suppose, like, other than Reginald the Vampire, are there any other like upcoming projects you'd like people to know about?
No, Reginald the Vampire's the main one at the moment.
Okay.
I have, I mean, I've been writing, but these things take forever. Even like, you
Absolutely.
know, from the actor's perspective, when you get cast in something, it feels like forever before that comes out.
Mm,
But then with writing, it's even longer because you've got the whole pre-production aspect. But yeah, that's been fun having the chance to kind of really try and push that forward as well. Because as an actor, you don't have as much agency, and so it's been really nice being able to use my degree English literature and
oh,
acting
nice.
in one thing. So yeah, I'm trying to do more of that. So
Absolutely. And this is a question that I always ask at the end, and it's kind of up to your own interpretation, really. People take in different directions. But I suppose, in like a wider sense, you have any goals that you've set for yourself you'd like to accomplish, or any, yeah, I guess anything you want to kind of really go for and achieve?
well, I guess what I was touching on before, it would be great to see one of my writing projects actually come to fruition, as in on.
Right. Yeah.
Um, that would be a very special thing, and that's my main focus at the moment. And then with acting, I suppose it is more. I would love to do a period drama, so we'll see
Mm,
if that happens. Um, and then, as you say, maybe something that involves more of my taekwondo experience.
mm,
But yeah, I guess it's kind of just following a trajectory of I mean, I still love all the supernatural worlds that I get to play in, so more of that would also be great. So more of the same and more, hopefully.
I suppose actually just to ask, because I almost forgot, but like, where can people catch Reginald the Vampire when, you know?
Yes, so it is on Amazon Prime, but not in the UK, which I know. I told all my family to watch it, and then they're like, "We can't see it."
Oh man,
I know, but it's on Sci-Fi and Hulu. So
wonderful.
Yeah, go watch it.
Well, obviously, you know, best of luck with the show and with, I guess, your writing and just, you know, wider endeavors going forward. And, you know, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, Georgia, and all the best. Take care and stay safe.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And yeah, take care of yourself.